Good morning, everyone. My name is Corinne Rosal, and I'm the Director of International Career Services at Berkeley College. I'm just curious to know where everyone is from here. I know all are from Spain, but what are you doing here in New York? Are you students? How many are students? Many, okay. So you attend different schools in New York, right? Which schools? What is the name of the school you attend?
American language.
Okay, a language school, okay. Anyone else?
New York General Consulting.
Okay, same, okay. And I imagine most of you are looking for jobs here, yes?
Yeah.
Yes, so I'm going to try to help you to apply for some positions. Has anyone started to send their resume to different companies yet? Yes? Okay, have you had interviews yet?
No.
Okay, you haven't been successful with that.
No, my problem is that I'm here because I'm married with an American guy, so I'm waiting for my papers.
Okay,
So that I will have better opportunity to have a better job, not to, let's apply for whatever that want to hire me or looking for a sponsor or something like that.
right, okay. Anyone else have you had any interviews yet? Yes, okay.
Yeah, but I got the position, but at the end they were like, oh, we don't really sponsor, so I'm
Okay.
sorry, but we didn't get it.
Right, so that's a challenge as
Yeah.
well too. I think in general, it can be a challenge for employers to be convinced in terms of wanting to hire someone that's foreign because of the visa issues. But I think it's very important for you to see yourself as having unique strengths that you can provide. All of you are bilingual, right? Yes? So that is very unique. Not everyone has the ability to speak fluently in Spanish and English. So you could, target companies that need people that are bilingual, so that's one advantage. There are other strengths that you have. Many of you, I'm sure, have traveled to many places. You're able to adapt to different cultures, different situations. I think that's important. You're able to communicate with different people cross-culturally, so that's another strength. You need to think of yourself in a positive way. You need to identify your strengths. That is very important. Many people do not spend enough time thinking about what they write on the resume or the cover letter. The resume and the cover letter is the first impression that the employer will have of you. This is the opportunity for you to explain to the employer why you are the best person for the position. Okay? So it's important for you to spend time to think about what your professional experiences are, what your educational experiences are, what you can bring to the position, what makes you unique. So you have to personalize your cover letter. A cover letter is used to, I'm going to improvise. Okay, so usually you send a cover letter. It's basically a letter which states the purpose for applying for the position. So you're stating your interest, why you want to be considered for this position. And then you need to explain why you think you are the best person for the position. Most companies in America are very results oriented. They want to know what you can do for them, okay? I know some people are looking to apply for internships. Is anyone looking for an internship? Yes, okay. Sometimes you may have the expectation that the employer should be lucky to have you. You're offering to work for free, but it's so competitive here. They can get so many candidates that are very qualified. So you have to position yourself in a way so that they know that you are the best person for the job, okay? That you can bring something to them. So when you are looking for jobs, what is anyone interested in? What field? What field are you interested in?
Me?
Yes.
My background is in business and finance.
Business. Okay. So you're looking for jobs.
Yeah, I'm pretty open.
Okay.
I mean, since my background is in business and finance, although my experience is in the fashion industry.
Oh,
so
interesting.
I'm quite open
Okay.
on the field.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if you're looking for finance jobs, for example, if you want to work here at BBVA, what you would need to do is go on their website, look at the career section, and if you see a job that interests you, you have to read the description. What you want to do is personalize your cover letter and resume. So based on the description, if they tell you they need someone that has an understanding of I guess, foreign exchange markets, and you've had a experience in that area, then you want to indicate that. Maybe you didn't have experience professionally, but you took a course in it, so you can indicate that on the cover letter. All right. My personal belief is that your resumes and cover letters should be simple, okay? What type of qualities do you think employers value the most here in America? Does anyone have any idea?
Time efficiency.
Time efficiency, okay. Anything else?
I'd say it's a drive to achieve things like improve your career for yourself, not because you've been working somewhere, but because you wanted to learn something or do something, you went and did it. I think it's very important here.
Correct, yes, I agree. I'm gonna actually give you a little test here. I'm gonna tell you 3 characteristics, and I want you to identify the most important characteristic. So the first word is punctuality. Okay, so which is similar to what you said. The second is honesty. The third is hardworking. Okay, which characteristic do you think is most valued here by U.S. employers? What do you think? How many say punctuality? Raise your hand. Okay. How many say honesty? Okay. How many say hardworking? Okay, very interesting. So, why? I think it was between honesty and hardworking. Why do you say honesty? Who said honesty? Yeah. Why do you think honesty?
In my experience at the university here,
Yes.
they look at honesty all the time and make you sign like honesty deeds and that stuff. So I extrapolate to professional
Yes.
work.
Yes. Anyone else? Choose honesty? Yes. Honesty, relationships, and business is all about relationships and trust. Your boss, your supervisor needs to trust you as an employee. You as a client need to trust the organization that you're doing business with. If there's no trust, there's no exchange of any services or goods. You have to, a lot of times I see a lot of students are always wanting to get experience, technical experience in their field of expertise. But don't forget the fundamentals of business, okay? I know with technology these days, it's easy to forget about that, but you still have to learn the language of communication, all right? And that I find is one of the most important characteristics that companies value. Of course, not everyone is honest, but I think at least people like to say they are, and they strive to be that way or to have that impression. Okay. So that's why I say honesty, because honesty is a valued characteristic. I think it's important to try to convey that in your cover letter, in the language that you use. I think you want to be honest. Don't try to be someone that you're not, okay? Don't try to use language that you don't understand. It's more important, if you don't have the experience, I think people will appreciate you saying, you know what, I don't know the experience, I don't have experience in Forex markets, foreign exchange markets, but I'm a really hard worker and I have other positive skills that I can bring to the position, okay? So I think if you're honest about that, people appreciate it. I'm gonna skip some areas here. So I'm just gonna show you a brief example. I'm sure all of you have written a cover letter. What you want to do is say, I am applying for this position that you found on idealist.org and the website. Or you can say, I was referred to you by a friend of mine who works at your company. I think it's important to clearly state the position that you're applying for and your understanding of the company's needs. I think they need for you to acknowledge what they need, all right? So I think your cover letter can be stronger. In the U.S., and I'm sure this is the case in Spain, every company, do you think they're only receiving your resume? No, they receive many resumes, all right? So you have to make sure you stand out. I personally think that you should not elaborate too much on a cover letter unless you have extensive experience in a field or you're an academic. Cover letters should be simple. I would say that most people, especially in New York, the culture of business is very different. People are extremely busy. They don't have time to read everyone's cover letter, everyone's resume. How many minutes do you think they spend? How much time do you think an employer spends when they read your resume? 20 seconds, yes. Actually, even less. The eye will go to the bold areas. So they just want to see the name of the company you worked at, what your position was, where you went to school. If that looks interesting, they will read more. Okay. Does everyone feel comfortable with the cover letter? Do you feel like, does anyone have any questions? Yes.
Normally, the problem that I see with my cover letters is that they end up looking too much like my resume.
Yes.
So, do you go on the, I'm gonna talk to you about myself type of path, or do you stick to like objectives that you've accomplished in past positions, but that way you like put a little bit of your resume into the, like, what's the balance between putting who you are, like writing about who you are more, and so that the employer can know a little more about your personal values, et cetera,
Right.
but also like shooting in like info about past positions, like things that you've accomplished, and like what's the balance?
Right.
So that the person doesn't think that, all right, well, I just read what I just read in the resume. You know?
Yeah, so that's a great concern for you to bring up. You don't want to be redundant, so meaning that you don't want to say the same things that you put in your resume. I think with the cover letter, it's an opportunity for them to see how you express yourself. If your language is, if your written English skills are adequate for them. I think it's best to keep the cover letter simple, just to express your interest in the position. Let's say, for example, that you don't have experience in what they need. The cover letter could be an opportunity for you to elaborate on skills that you've acquired, which can be applicable to the position, okay? Another option is to elaborate on certain projects For example, if you worked on a thesis project that's related to that business, I think, I don't know if you guys have done that, watched that. But yeah, so if you, in your class, you did a special paper or presentation, on BBVA, you can, elaborate on that. If you managed a certain team of people for a project, something that stands out as a successful aspect of your career, you can mention that in the cover letter. But if you're not sure, my best advice to you is to just keep it simple, okay? People really don't want to write your life, to read your life story. They don't have time. Everything is already said in the resume, okay? Does anyone have the time? Does anyone know the time?
11 o'clock.
Okay. Okay. So it's easy. One thing I'd like to make sure you do, because I know English is, I think, the second language for you, please make sure you ask someone to review your cover letter before you send it, because that's very important. You want to make sure your English is perfect. And also, please try to use the spell check as well. I think some people forget to use that, but that's important. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to, does anyone have any questions, other questions about the cover letter? No? Okay, so now I'll talk about the resume. The resume is different from the CV. I think many of you have already prepared a resume, yes? Okay. One major difference is that with the resume, you do not include personal information. You do not include your nationality. You do not include your birthday. You do not include a photo of yourself, okay? The only information that you will put here is your name and your contact information. So your address, your phone number, and your email address. Now, one thing I've noticed with some people from other countries, when they come here to the US, their phones do not work, or the voicemail is not set up, or the voicemail is in Spanish, okay? You need to make sure that you have a personalized message, all right? Because when the employer calls you, that's the first impression that they have when they hear your voice and how you present yourself. And unfortunately, people make judgments within the first 5 seconds of meeting you. People make judgments when they shake your hand, all right? All right, they can tell a lot about you. They can sense something about you just by your voice, the way you present yourself, the way you shake your hand, all right? So please make sure you have that set up. If your voicemail is not set up and they can't leave a message, do you think they will call you back? No, they don't have time. And they have a stack of resumes. They could call the next person, all right? There's plenty of other candidates they could call, all right? Next, on the top, you want to put your education experience. So here we'll skip. It's very important for you to put your degree. I think you'll have to translate it, but most of you are either a bachelor degree or master degrees students. So you would put that and then your major. And then the school that you attend. your expected graduation date or your graduation date if you graduated. GPA, that's if you, is anyone attending school here, college in New York, university in New York? Okay. Any accomplishments that you achieved in your studies back home, you could list here. For example, if you worked on a certain senior thesis project, you can list that here. Sometimes you can list the titles of the courses that you have taken. So if you want to, what's your major? Or what did you study?
International humanitarian law.
Oh, okay, so law. So what you could do is list some legal courses that you've taken here. And that demonstrates to the employer your knowledge of those subjects, okay? Oh, if you notice, this person's resume, okay, at the top here, they list soccer. Does anyone play soccer here? No? Yeah, okay. So why did this person put it soccer here? Do you think that makes sense to put soccer?
Because he's good working with the team.
Yes, yes, and that is valued by an employer, all right? I've actually met some employers that had a preference for hiring people that did sports because there are certain skills that you can learn outside of the classroom that can be applied to business, all right? So not every instance you want to list, personal information about yourself, but it depends on the field that you want to go into. Okay, next. And I should say, the resume must be one page. No more, okay? Unless you're an academic and you're getting a PhD. Everything should be concise and to the point, because the employer does not have time to read your whole resume, okay? So you want to choose your words carefully. Choose the words that present yourself in the best way, okay? So you have to be efficient in your choice of words. Next, you want to list your professional experiences. This person here is a blogger, social media assistant. So I usually suggest putting the title, the job title up top, because that explains to the employer what you're skilled in. Especially if you have experience working for a company that's not well known to the employer here, I would not recommend putting the company first. If you worked for companies that are very well known, then you can list the company first, okay? And you don't have to choose this format, but you should put this information up top, all right? Next, we have the dates of your employment. So November 2010 to present. Now, if you are here in New York and you're looking for a job, you should not put present, because then they may think, oh, you're in Spain right now, all right? So make sure you have a closing date. Okay. Next, you want to indicate the responsibilities that you had. All right, so for example, this person recruited students through the management of student blog. Okay, here's another example. Logistics supervisor, DHL, we put the city and the state. Manage supply chain operations. Is there a better way that we can say that? Manage supply chain operations? Do you think? Yeah. I had mentioned before that employers are results oriented. So one way you can improve your resume is to explain the result of your actions. So when you list all of your responsibilities and your actions, it's important for you to also identify your contribution to the company, okay? Let's see, what type of job did you have before? Yes.
Social media.
Oh, so similar, very similar. Okay, what did you do?
Well, I organized the communication of a company in Spain,
Yes.
and I managed YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, this company.
Okay, and how did the company benefit from you doing this? How did the company benefit?
Explain please, because I.
Of course, yes. So what was the contribution to the company? Your action, you,
Can I translate?
yes, of course.
Sí, ¿cuál es? ¿Cómo se define algo actual hacer eso,
Well, I don't know how to explain. For example, to the image of the company.
It's okay like the brand, you improved the brand, the image of the company.
Around a specific group of people that they don't know what this image of the company
So people became more familiar with the brand,
Yes.
the company, okay, which is good. And what was the business? What type of business were they promoting?
alcohol.
Alcohol. So because people saw this, more people are drinking alcohol now, right? Thanks to you, right? And now the company is making more money.
Yes.
All right? So you have to see yourself. I know a lot of people, when you have a job, you don't see your value. Even if you're doing something that seems unimportant, like making photocopies, I'm sure this adds value. You are helping someone in the company. Maybe you are making photocopies for a presentation and to assist, some of the directors in the company. So there is value in this. Don't just say, I made photocopies. Say I made photocopies for an executive board meeting, which assisted them in, generating relationships with different clients. All right? So when you have to start thinking like this, think of the value you are adding to the company in everything you do. Okay, here's one example. Contacted approximately 100 potential clients per day to discuss company's products and services. So this is also important because they quantify, all right? It's more convincing. All right, and below, what you can list are some skills that you have acquired. So language, of course, you should put. This person is fluent in Spanish and Catalan. They put level A2 in French. Technology, Microsoft Office. I think it's best to also explain each area of Microsoft Office that you are proficient in. So if you know Excel, you should list Excel. The reason is because when you apply for positions, some companies have programs that do word searches. So if they are looking for someone that knows Excel, you have it listed here. Your resume will be pulled up. Okay? If you know PowerPoint, list that. Okay? Now, you said you're a social media marketing person. So you may want to list some social media sites that you are familiar with. I think a lot of companies also prefer that someone knows Google Analytics as well. That's important, so you should mention that. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
I don't know if it's your task today, something is that even if this information is really value and everybody should know this thing that you already provide. I'm here I'm gonna tell my experience, not because I wanna, look like I have so much experience, but because I wanna tell you my problem. So I'm here since 2012. And I'm country director in more than 10 countries around the world, including Africa, Asia. I work for Time Magazine, for Fortune Magazine, and since 2012, I did what to say. Beyond that, never worked. I'm 2 years here without working, and also married with an American guy. It's impossible. So
Yes.
I don't want to be,
You have an
discourage
advantage
anyone.
already, yes.
But I'm very nervous with it. I'm very angry with this situation because when you're sending your letter and your cover letter, like your resume and everything to an employer, and the first thing that they ask you is, do you have paper? Are you able to work in the United States? No. So then it doesn't matter how good look your cover letter, you have pictures, no, you're doing it right or wrong, or how much you're doing all this that they just, that's it. So with this, I'm extremely angry because I don't know what else to do. So everything is about the visa. They don't care about it because they have so many people. And when you go into the visa process trying to, to do a little bit more about it and you try to reach a situation for, I'm sorry, I just feeling like people is getting worried, but I'm 2 years here trying to, to work legally because illegally you can do a ton of things, but legally. And the visa, when nobody's gonna be your sponsor. First of all, it's because they are, they have to, if they want you, they have to pay at least between $10,000 to $15,000 for they to give you, a visa and make you work here. So if they don't know you, you're working, it's not the same that you're working in a company in Europe, but they want to transfer you here so they know your value for the company, so they will, like they will have back the money they are investing in you, because investment in you. So, because of that reason, they are not gonna make the visa for you. So, on top of that, if they are able to pay that money for you and make the visa for you and be your sponsor, they have to publish this kind of job that they are gonna offer to you in at least between 2 to 6 months on a newspaper and interview other people that they already have working visa and they can legally work here. If they don't find anybody that is better than you, and they have if they don't find anybody that is better than you, then the U.S. government allows them to be your sponsor. So I really think that this is beyond just the resume and the cover letter. That of course everything you say you should be knowing it. But I think that our problem as as Spaniards or as people that is from abroad is beyond that.
Yes.
So how you can tell us about that?
I actually have a lot of experience in this area because I've been working with international students for over 10 years, so I know the challenges that you face. Usually what I recommend to you is that you first target companies that will value your unique skills, like the fact that you are from Spain. So maybe look for businesses that have relationships with Spain. Actually, I know I had one student, she was a fashion major. She worked for a company called Rag & Bone. Do you know Rag & Bone? Yes. At the time she worked there, they were just starting their business. This girl was Japanese, all right? She had an advantage. She helped to establish the brand in the Japanese market. So there was not an interest at that time to do that, but that's what she offered to them, all right? So, you know, sometimes even going to a smaller business, proposing that you know, try to expand their product or develop relations, you know, with Spain or any Latin American countries, you know, that would be something unique that you can add. Another recommendation that I usually offer to students is to look outside of New York City for jobs. Now, you seem like you may be established here. Your husband probably works.
New Jersey.
Okay.
It is-
A lot of people don't even consider, even if you want to stay near New York, there are major Fortune 500 companies outside of New York City. Not everything is here. And you will be more unique to a company outside of New York. There's plenty of Spanish speakers here in New York, okay? But there may not be so many Spanish bilinguals in Minneapolis, Minnesota, okay? So you can, you know, expand your opportunities if you look outside of New York as well, all right? And it's also important to consider smaller companies that may not have a tradition of hiring internationals. I know I've met so many students, they always tell me, oh, do you have a list of companies that hire people, international students? And you know, there is a list, you can find them on the internet. But, you know, some companies may have hired a lot of internationals last year, but it changes. Maybe their business is not successful this year and they have a hiring freeze, so they're not hiring. So what you need to do, what I always recommend, is that you focus on selling yourself, branding yourself. Don't get caught up in the visa. Don't get caught up in looking for companies that sponsor. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is also, and I agree 100% with what you were saying, is that, and I feel that Spaniards have a lot to learn in that sense, because in Spain, we don't network like they do it here. It's just like really aggressive to the point. Like you can send 1,000 million online applications,
Yeah.
and they're not gonna get you anywhere, even if your resume is like super solid, but
Right.
then all of a sudden, you meet someone that, and I've heard quite some stories about people that, you know, tried it through the normal ways of application, didn't get anything, and then
Right.
like all of a sudden, they were in the right place in the right moment, and they had the courage to just like go up to someone and be like, hey, I'm absolutely desperate for a job, you know?
Right.
And that person sometimes it's like able to help you out with a visa, but it's true that that's
Yeah.
the main problem.
Right.
Also with Spanish people, there's a lot of Spanish people here.
Yeah.
Spanish-speaking
I'm
people.
actually really glad you said that too, because networking, which will be discussed in the next session, is also a very important way for you to, it's an important opportunity that you can give yourself to, you know, sell yourself to an employer or potential employer. You never know who you meet. Like, even if you're going out at night to a restaurant or a lounge or a bar, you know, you may meet someone, ask them what they do for a living, and tell them what you're looking for. Maybe they're not doing something related to what you want to do, but maybe they have a friend that, you know, needs someone. So networking is extremely important also. Networking, I think, is an advantage for students or like people that are foreign. Because the resume isn't enough. It doesn't tell who you are. It's, you know, and if employers have the opportunity to meet with you, I think they will be more impressed. And I think Spanish people are really great in terms of networking and socializing with people. I think people can feel really comfortable with you. I think that's another advantage that you have. But, you know, it's not, people don't see that on the resume, it's not enough. So it really is important for you to network. There's a great website, it's called meetup.com. You can find different meeting groups, like if you're interested in fashion, you could find a group that meets up. Even networking with each other today, you know? Maybe like, you know, you said you worked for magazines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone is interested in working for a magazine, you know, they can talk to you, I think. Yeah?
I'm a job in Europe.
All right. So, yeah, please talk to anyone. Can be a you know, someone that you can network. And let's see where we are. Yeah. Any other questions or comments, concerns? Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. Regarding the job descriptions,
Oh, can you press the thing?
The little black thing?
Push this up.
Yeah.
Yes.
so,
Okay. Thank
yeah,
you.
regarding job descriptions, some jobs are more easily to describe in terms of results. Like, for example, if you work in sales, you can say, I help increase the results or the sales in 7%. But for example, in terms of brand awareness, would you include in your resume increase brand awareness, but you cannot measure that? So would you include things that you cannot measure?
Yeah, if you can, you can say simply increased brand awareness, and that's it. If you're able to quantify the number, you know, the reach that you had, you know, try to do that. But if you can't, then that's okay, all right? Not every responsibility you'll be able to do that, but try to, okay? Like you did social media, like you were able to, I think, analyze the reach that you had, right? Through Google Analytics or other Facebook Analytics. But that's something that you should be aware of in the next position that you have. If you're doing similar work, try to quantify everything that you do. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes.
That'd be good.
That's okay.
What about the video resume? Like the employers are, you know, able to take that, they see it as something good or something that is a little weird
I think it depends on your
type of job?
type of job. These guys might know. I think if you're in a more creative profession, I think you can present yourself in a more creative way to stand out. But always you should have a traditional, simple resume. Many times I prefer that you focus on content instead of the graphics, okay? Like I said before, honesty is valued. Even the font that you choose is important. You don't want to choose a font, because every font has a characteristic. It shows personality. You want your resume to be very easy, clean, simple, easy to read. That's most important, all right? I think if you're in a creative profession, you can be a little bit creative here. For example, like maybe in the heading on the top, you can choose a graphic, like a stationery that's more creative. But if you are, you know, studying business or law, you want a more conservative resume. Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Any questions, comments? Yes?
Is there an importance of putting education before professional experience?
That's a great question too. So I think if you do not have extensive professional experience and you recently graduated from school, you should put your education experience at the top, okay? But if you're currently working here or you're doing an internship, then you can list your professional experience. In the future, I think with you, you would list your professional experience first.
Yeah, first.
Education at the bottom, yeah. I'm glad you asked that question.
And about, sorry about
Yeah.
that also, when you go in an interview, if you're gonna, because in Europe, what they do is also they check, and also sometimes they call to the school to see if it's real, or, your education.
Right.
But what I know here is like, they don't do it, and they also don't ask you the paper, or, like your degree or stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of times it's very true. A lot of times, your job when sending the resume and going, in the cover letter, your job is to get the interview, right? When you go on the interview, that's when you elaborate on your professional and education experience. But what do you think is the reason why a company chooses a candidate? Do you think are they looking for the person with the highest GPA, the highest grades? Yeah, in some cases, yes. But what I've found when I talk to employers, I think most of them here in the US are looking for personality. They want to find someone that will be a good fit. You don't always have to have the skills to do the job. You can train someone. As long as you're reasonably intelligent, you can pick something up very easily, all right? So that's not an issue. They want to see that you're going to be fit in with their culture, okay? Different supervisors have different personalities. Maybe that you have someone that has a lot of energy, and they like to be around people with a lot of energy. So they may look for that quality in you, okay? So yeah, it comes down to that, I would say, all right? Okay.
In the languages area of the resume, we have to.
Oh, can you press the button?
Okay.
Thank you.
We have to say that we know perfect English, or is assumed that we should speak perfect English because we all live it here and not included. I mean, yeah.
If you're working here or you studied here, you do not need to say that you are fluent in English. Okay?
If we
So,
have,
yeah?
but if we have any official exam or something certifying it, it's better not to say it.
No, you don't need to mention it. If you're
Okay.
writing a resume in English and it's perfect, everything is good, the grammar is good, you don't need to say that you know English fluently.
Okay.
Any other questions?
How about references?
You don't need to include them. Yeah, make it simple. You have to think of yourself, you have to think of this opportunity as a way to brand yourself. You have to think of yourself as a brand. You are the product. You are selling yourself to that business, okay? So if you've studied marketing, you have to think of yourself in that way. You have to think of how you present yourself to that business. Yes?
What if you are applying to a company but you have like an academic resume? Like you have publications and conferences. Do you include all of them, even if it's for a company, not an academic position?
You have to, okay, what you need to do is make sure you only have a one-page resume. So you will have to, and many people will have to do this, you have to consolidate, you have to prioritize. Only put the most important aspects that will fit on the one-page resume. For example, I do this with a lot of students. So, for example, if this person has like 2 pages on the resume, I will tell them, choose the 3 most important bullet points here, and then take away 2. Okay? So that's how you become more efficient in the words that you choose. The employer does not need to see everything. Sometimes I think of it as like dating. You don't have to show everything to the person that you like. You just need to show them a little. It's like you are teasing them, okay? All right? So they don't need to know your whole life story. You just need to show them enough that makes them interested in contacting you for an interview. Okay. Now, if you are someone that is an academic, if you have a PhD and you've done extensive work and you're applying for university positions, in those cases you can create a proper academic CV, which consists of more than one page. But really, the employers will be more impressed. You will be more effective if you use less words. All right. I know people want to say everything, but to be honest with you, you know, they're not going to read everything. If they see 2 pages, the eyes will get tired and they'll just put the resume aside. Okay. They will be more inclined to read your resume if it's very simple to read. Yes.
If you have a lot of experience,
Yes.
so it's
1 page. Yes. And you can play with the font, but I would not recommend choosing a font that's size 9 or size 10. You want to make sure they can read it, okay? You can play with the margins, like increase them on the side, increase it on the top. That's one way to try and fit everything. But the idea, you don't need to tell them everything that you did, just the highlights, okay? Okay, you're welcome. Yes?
Can I say something?
Yes, of course, yes.
That when you have a lot of experience, like you're a new student, what they value the most is that you just put your, for example, manager position, your top position. You don't need to put all the rest positions. So where you went through, just the higher position you have is enough, because now you're gonna create it one thing.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah, so as you develop professionally, you can start to eliminate some jobs that you had in the past. So maybe my first job was a waitress, and this is listed on the bottom, all right? I can eliminate that if I don't have room.
Also, you could, for example, have your first job was in a very good, well-known company.
Yes.
But you have other between the last one.
Yes.
And that there were better positions, but not very, popular companies.
So if
Which is
it,
better.
yeah, so put everything, because I think any experience is valuable experience, okay? But if it's not as relevant to what you want to do, you can just put 1 bullet point, okay? You don't have to elaborate. Elaborate more on the professional experience that is more closely related to what you want to do. Yeah, and I forgot to mention that, yes, you should try to organize everything in chronological order. The most recent professional experience should be on top. Okay. So I think we're done here. It's 11. No one's asked us to switch. We could keep talking until someone tells us to stop.
Yeah, I have one question
Yes.
relating like the jobs. You said
Yes.
like if you're currently working for a company, like you shouldn't say that on your resume. So
Yes, you should.
You should say it. that
Yeah, if you're currently
working.
at that company,
Okay.
you know what?
Then I misunderstood what you said before. I thought you said like you shouldn't say it like if you're currently
Oh,
working.
yeah. Oh, sometimes if your most recent experience is in Spain, I've
Oh, no,
seen
no, no,
a lot of
it's-
resumes,
okay.
right, where they say present, and the employer may say, oh, they're not here, all right? So you want to give them the impression that you're already here in the U.S.,